Gracias por acompañarnos de la otra plataforma a esta. Les doy la bienvenida a este conversatorio Liderazgo para la Sostenibilidad. Es la serie número 7. Tengo el honor de tener a Michelle Thatcher, que es CEO y cofundadora de la US Green Chamber of Commerce, y también es fundadora de la Global Green Chamber of Commerce. Pero bueno, quiero primero dar como una bienvenida a este espacio. El objetivo de estos conversatorios es traer para ustedes invitados e ideas que les ayuden en hacer sus proyectos y organizaciones más sostenibles. I'm going to translate this for Michelle. The goal of these weekly talks, Leadership for Sustainability, is to bring to everybody that connects guests and ideas that will help their projects and organizations become more sustainable. So if you're here, is because you believe that a more sustainable world, more sustainable companies is possible, and it's possible for all. And because you want to keep learning and around these topics on sustainability, social enterprise, and create a more positive impact in the world. So, para los que no me conocen, me presento rápidamente. Yo soy Itzel Orozco, soy consultora y profesora catedrática experta en sostenibilidad y estrategia de negocios, y tocando temas de emprendimiento social, responsabilidad social, liderazgo, cambio climático. También soy cofundadora de la US Green Chamber of Commerce Chapter México, o sea, la Cámara Verde de Comercio de Estados Unidos, pero en el capítulo de México. Estamos apenas también a partir de este año, comienzos de este año, está naciendo este capítulo en México, así que estoy muy orgullosa y muy contenta de que nos acompañe hoy Michelle y Mauricio, que anda por ahí, que es el presidente de la Cámara Verde de Colombia. Michelle, se las presento oficialmente y correctamente, como debe de ser. Lo voy a hacer en inglés. A partir de ahorita vamos a continuar la conversación en inglés y vamos, si es necesario, si ustedes lo requieren, pueden hacer preguntas en español, comentarios en español, y yo lo voy traduciendo para Michelle. Michelle, she has an experience and passion for disruptive innovation, regenerative economy, purpose-driven enterprises, and social justice. She is a leader in the green economy, and her role as CEO and co-founder of the US Green Chamber of Commerce has been very important. She has been growing. It is the fastest growing sustainability-focused chamber in the US, and she has 25 years of nonprofit conservation leadership experience. She's building a comprehensive national advocacy, networking, and education platform for green businesses around the US. And she has also, she has recently launched the Global Green Chamber of Commerce on Earth Day, if I'm not mistaken, or Earth Day week. And we'll talk about it later in this conversation. She has served as national director for 3 years before being selected to lead the US Green Chamber of Commerce in 2013. So she's been working in this role for 7 years. And prior to this, she served as executive director of the Seminole Soil and Water Conservation District for 4 years, and then moved to serve as executive director for of the Association of Florida Conservation Districts, which is a nonprofit organization and representing over 350 elected officials. She is currently, like I said, the president for Climate Counts and the US Green Chamber of Commerce Institute. She has served as on the advisory board of the Recycle Across America and Ideas for Us, a United Nations accredited NGO. Welcome, Michelle. We're honored to have you. I'm very happy to have you. And so could you please start telling us what it means to start a US Green Chamber of Commerce and this kind of Chamber of Commerce, which is so important, I believe, and from my perspective is what needs to happen already. It needed to happen, but especially after this pandemic, during and after. So what does it mean to launch and be a co-founder of the US Green Chamber of Commerce?
Well, first of all, Thank you so much, Itzel. It's such an honor to be here. And it's leaders like you who are leading the charge in Mexico and around the world. I mean, we need you. We need your expertise. We need a million of you. So I'm so grateful and honored to be here with you. And I'm just so grateful for all of the participants that have come on today to learn more and have us all talk together. So I put this presentation together to dive into just a little bit of my own background. So this is the overview of this presentation. I'll try to just go through it really quickly so we can get to the questions and have some more dialogue. But we're going to go into the background, talk a little bit about the trends in green business, sustainability and climate, some of the recent news, and really tying in to why this matters to businesses. Most of everyone here is a business owner or an employee for a larger business. So this is the crux of where we want to go. And the solutions to this new path. And we talk about this chambers of commerce and how we can really make an impact as we go around the world. Let me just move this over. So my background, I mean, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm an environmentalist at heart. I grew up outdoors. My dad always said, go outside, go eat dirt. And that eventually led me to environmental activism, which led me to those soil and water conservation districts. So soil and water, creating some mud, as we called it back in the day, the mud districts. These districts were actually formed in response to the Dust Bowl of the 1930s. I don't know if everyone is familiar with those or not. It happened in the United States. So it essentially was one of the most devastating times in our history in the United States. The crops failed, and it all had to do with the agriculture practices. And I'll tie this into really what's happening with us from a business perspective and climate as a whole. So as you can see, in the 1930s, we had this great technology. We had new farming practices, steel blades, tractors, and we did a lot of devastation, unfortunately, because of these new practices. So that deep plowing created a landscape that essentially destroyed the soil. And so because of the Dust Bowl, you had the sky blackened by dust as far south as Texas and as far east as New York City. And one of the soil scientists was testifying on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and literally threw the curtains open to reveal the sky blackened by dust and said, we need to do something. So on that day, he created legislation to where there were over 3,000 soil and water conservation districts formed. And here is where the important part was. They created something that implemented best practices for farmers and ranchers. They were implementing those best practices. And so in essence, businesses had this epiphany and they said, we need to do things differently as a business, as a farmer and rancher, to make sure that we don't have environmental degradation that would essentially ruin everything that we have, which is what happened in the 1930s. So if we look at from a business perspective, so I worked in this business world where we were working with these farmers and ranchers, and back in the day, we weren't talking about best practices for businesses. So that's what led to the idea of creating a green chamber of commerce. And in this space, so as we look at creating new green chambers of commerces around the world, it's important for us to kind of look at, well, what will this mean to a community? So we look at Florida as a particular case study, and we went into Florida and it was very, very new. It was back in the day where even the word sustainability was not well known. Mm-hmm. But we said, okay, let's bring in some of the biggest leaders in the world as far as the corporate leaders. Those are our sustainability heroes at that particular time. So we had some of these large corporations come in and talk about their successes in sustainability. And we really wanted to showcase their financial successes, because people say, yes, that's really nice to save the planet, but essentially I have to make a living, I have to feed my family. And so we said, please highlight those successes. And when businesses started coming in as a Chamber of Commerce member, First Green Bank happened to be one of the very first members of ours in Florida. And they were a tiny little business at the time. So over here, you can see they were in a strip mall. They had a one bank in a strip mall. And then they were so successful because of their mission, because of what they were doing from a practice perspective. They then went to a major headquarters in Mount Dora. And then in downtown Orlando, just within a matter of a couple of years, they grew to have a skyrise in downtown Orlando. And then just recently, they were bought by a national bank called Seacoast Bank. So this is what the type of sustainable business that we're bringing in to the fold, and the type of successes that they get. And even as a Chamber of Commerce, we would say at every meeting, because they would sponsor our meetings, we would say, you all have to bank. So why won't you choose a bank that's doing good for our planet? And that's why they grew so fast. And they said, our dollars that we gave to you, of you just promoting us, was so important for our business to grow within this area. And we also are looking constantly for the most amazing solutions. So even as a nonprofit can be a member of the chamber. So Recycle Across America is a member of ours, and they have one of the most innovative solutions. Their solutions were so incredible that we introduced them to the Orange County public school system. And with that, they ended up saving $369,000 in just 1 year. And after that introduction, so it's about building this huge network. We want to network together. We want to promote each other in what we're doing. So just in the course of a few years, they've already saved over $1 million in taxpayer funds with the one solution that we helped introduce to them. We've also worked with very large corporations like Tesla. Tesla said to us, you know, we have this destination charging station. We want to give out charging stations to some of your businesses all across the United States. Would you do us a favor and make introductions to the businesses who are doing good that align with what we're doing and putting in these charging stations? So we were able to offer our members free charging stations. Tesla was able to get out fast charging stations all across the United States. So that kind of collaboration can happen all across the world with the right team in place. And then we took that another step further. So we do, you know, networking, we do education, we do advocacy. So Tesla came to us in 2016 and said, you know, we want to defeat this amendment that's happening in Florida. That's really bad. It's an anti-solar amendment. So we gathered up our network, our team of people, and more money was spent on this from any other initiative in all of the state's history. And we gathered up various stakeholders, and we were able to defeat this anti-solar amendment. And so another way for us to look towards the future and this creating this systemic effect. And Bloomberg, because Orlando now is so progressive, when it started with nothing, just recently gave Orlando $2.5 million to combat climate change. They only gave this to cities who were doing good in the field of sustainability. So we're just looking at that systemic effect of what a green chamber can create. And we'll just cover the green. We have one of our partners, Green Biz Group, does a sustainability report each year. So these are just some of the highlights of those green trends in business. So it's really important to look at those. This is just an overview. We'll just jump right into them. Circular economy, for those who are familiar with TerraCycle, brilliant concept. It's the old milkman concept of the people coming, you know, dropping off the glass container of milk, we drink the milk and then give it back. So all of these products now have that same model, and hopefully it'll roll out across the world. Yertle and the Repair Cafe are just another a couple of examples of that circular economy, repairing something as opposed to going and buying a new one. And then taking this clothes that you're buying at a particular place like Patagonia, and Patagonia taking those clothing, that clothing, and then repairing it and selling it back to the consumer.
Repurposing. That's
repurposing. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
This ties back into the dirt and that sort of a regenerative agriculture. We don't think always about what the agricultural effects are having and how we're practicing in that same realm. So this is taking it to a whole nother level. I love this. This is actually, I think it's Patagonia is leading the way. This is, they make long root ale out of this Kernza product, which is a perennial versus an annual, which is the wheat. And so it saves the soil. So there's so many different practices that we can really touch upon there. Combating deforestation, so many different businesses, especially large corporations, buying large swaths of land, making sure that their supply chain does not include anything related to the deforestation all around the world. Green fleets. Shenzhen in China has more buses than the United States has in all of its large cities combined, just one city, and all of their buses are electric. And all of their 63% of their taxis are electric. So by 2040, 80% of the entire world's fleets will be electric. So that is a trend. Energy production, making sure that there's the energy productivity. So you're either saving energy, you're reducing energy, you're improving that energy production overall. So looking at those different aspects of it. And again, this is saving money. This is being more productive with the resources that we have. Green financing, that's a new trend. Hopefully that will continue to grow exponentially. Super pollutants, again, you'll see a trend. The trend is really geared towards making sure that we don't have the impacts on climate. And this is one of them. The methane is huge, the black carbon, the chlorofluorocarbons, all of those. The disclosure, many countries are now going to mandatory versus just voluntary. So we as a business need to be prepared for that. And beyond just looking at the greenhouse gas emissions of what's happening from a science-based targets, we're also looking at biodiversity in ocean and water. So in 2018, I served as a delegate for the Global Climate Action Summit. And that was the follow-up to the Paris Climate Agreement. And all the businesses came together sort of like a midterm, and they made over 500 commitments at that event. With those commitments, it created 65 million new jobs by 2030. And these are just a couple of the key points of, charge point, 3.5 million charging stations by 2025. And the RE100, 400 global corporations have signed on. And I mean, these are huge corporations, $20.7 billion with Mahindra Group going carbon neutral. And Starbucks is greening 10,000 stores all across the globe. So those were just a couple of the highlights of that event. So hopefully most people know about the IPCC report by now, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And
sorry, Michelle, I would like to ask
yes.
the participants who has or who is familiar with the IPCC and who is not. If you want to say yes, just type 1. If you are not familiar with the IPCC, type 2, and just go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I would really like to know. I'm so curious. So as those results come in, the IPCC report is sort of the pinnacle alarming report that says, with the Earth rising over 1.5 degrees Celsius, hundreds of millions of lives will be lost. Essentially, it's genocide. And if we get up to 4 degrees, we have 8 million cases of dengue fever each year in Latin America. So we need to, the key element is that we need to decrease our net carbon emissions by 50%, and it says 12 years, it's actually by 2030, it's 10 years. And we have to completely go 100% carbon neutral by 2050. So that's the direction that we absolutely have to head. And here's just a couple of the, you know, just if we rise to 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius, it's all of the coral reefs will be gone. We've already seen, just even during the pandemic, we've already seen the more devastation in Australia right now. Oh, what do we have? See, oh, that's good. I think that's good. Oh, we're at 50-50?
We're 50-50, I know.
50-50. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad that some have heard about it, but I'm actually even more glad that we are giving new information. And yeah, even if you've heard about it, every time I look at this, I have to be reminded. You know, it's like sort of like the clock is ticking right now. Right. So 50% loss in grain, and consider this, like 4 degrees above in Celsius, the global economy will be 30% smaller. So climate risks to businesses are just huge. So we have to constantly take that into consideration. Japan is the strong, these are just a couple of the things, you know, that have happened due to climate change. So I'll just go through them very quickly. $1 billion here in California wildfires, you know, $4 billion in Texas just due to floods, $3 billion with the hurricane in the Bahamas. A new study, again, shows that our GDP is all going to be impacted. And you can even see here in Mexico how it's going to be impacted. It's one of the higher ones. So, but most people say, well, but we have the Paris Climate Accord, you know, we should be okay because we've all signed the Paris Climate Accord. However, only 16 countries out of 195 are on track to meet those pledges. And that's even a little iffy. So we cannot depend upon just our national countries to solve the climate crisis. We all have to be in this together.
And those countries, sorry, Michelle, and those countries are not even the ones that are contributing the most to the CO2 emissions, right?
No, definitely the United States is not in there. China's not in there. Canada,
Australia is not either.
Yeah, no. Canada is one of them. Papua New Guinea, a couple of the ones.
Yeah.
But sometimes like things have to be really dark for us to see a glimmer of hope. And that's what we're going to focus in on. We have global green chambers. This can be a new solution. We need to team together. You know, chambers of commerce have been around for, you know, for so many years. There's chambers of commerces in every single country in the world. We have to bring those as part of the solution. We're building this new sustainability family together. Just like a coalition, the We Are Still In movement in the United States, when our president pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement, there were states and government leaders and business leaders all coming together saying, we are still in the Paris Climate Agreement. And collectively, they represent over 4,200 leaders and representing $9.46 trillion in GDP. So if this coalition were a country, just from a GDP perspective, it would be the 3rd largest country in the world. So here's a coalition that can make a big impact. We can make a big impact of green chambers coming together. New solutions. Let's make commitments. This is one of our conferences that we've had around the world, you know, starting to talk about those green chambers. This is us meeting with the Prime Minister of Kosovo, talking about climate and new standards that we can bring to the table. So we as a Green Chamber were there, you know, meeting with those leaders. We have to bring in the small to mid-sized businesses. They have to be at the table. 95% of the world's businesses are SMEs, and yet we have left them outside. It's mainly corporations that are taking action on sustainability. So we definitely want them here. And this is just a couple that we've worked with. So here's just some of the different, the Cámara Verde de Comercio, I'm so sorry. The Colombia Green Chamber, Mauricio, I'm so sorry. They have been our partner for so long. I mean, I think we've worked with them for about 5 years. We are the 2 national chambers, and now we're going to Mexico, and you know, we are stronger together when we work together. And we also launched the ASEAN Green Chamber in Malaysia and Singapore last year. And we're just, you know, we want to work with existing chambers. So this is how we grow. New solutions, we have to look at those. New policies, we need to build upon that. We need to call in those sustainability experts like you. I mean, Itzel, you are the shining star that people need to go to. You have the solutions, you have the training, you have the expertise, you have the network. People need to come to you as, you know, as they are. And so thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you for the support, because like you said, we need to work in this together. Climate change is so complex, and I keep saying this every single time in all of the different fora that I've been speaking during this pandemic online, and before the pandemic, I was also speaking about this. The coronavirus crisis is just minuscule when we compare it to the climate crisis. And it's so complex that we cannot do it alone. The private sector, the social sector, and the public sector need to come together and work hand in hand. So thank you so much for the work you've been doing. And yeah, just go on.
And so promotion and communication are key. We have to, and I said this actually in one of the pictures from Colombia, we talked in depth about how the communications aspect of this is so important. We have to have the reporters on our side, you know, being able to deliver this information and promoting what you're doing and others are doing out in the space. We have to have them with us. So global collaboration, just exactly what you just said, every stakeholder at the table with us. Mm-hmm. And we did launch our Global Climate Pledge on Earth Day. And our goal, when we talk about different stakeholders, is to get 2 billion people to start taking climate action in the next 2 years. So this is a key element of even us incorporating the businesses into this climate conversation, because we as the chamber have helped launch this huge initiative, and we're bringing in all the different, I mean, we have parents groups, we have indigenous tribes down in the Amazon, we have sports. On our launch, we had the Olympic rugby team and Harvard rugby team, and all these really different types of groups and organizations coming into this way new space for them and for us, you know, to have them be part of it. It's creating a new vision for the future. This is exciting. It's not something, it sounds scary, but this is the most important time in human history. We are the generation that can change everything. And so we can create something that's so beautiful as we continue to grow. So it's about making history, and we can make history together. So that's
wonderful. Thank you so much. That was very, very interesting and very nicely put. We have a couple questions coming in. Jimena Marin, which I think comes from the Green Chamber of Commerce in Colombia, is asking, do you know which countries in Latin America?
Es mexicana. ¿Cómo va a decir?
Do you know which countries in Latin America are among those 60? Oh, sorry. Michelle, I silenced you, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't, but I can find out and I will let you know.
Okay. Let's see. I was looking at a different question. Oh yeah. Kay Mendes is well, she just mentions, I haven't seen this in Montreal. Hernan Augusto is asking, how can we help green chambers? How can we show the business benefits of sustainable companies? Greetings from Colombia.
Greetings. Thank you for joining. So the question was, how can we show green chambers?
How can we help green chambers, and how can we show the business benefits of sustainable companies? But Hernán, si nos puedes explicar un poquito, si tú estás trabajando con una organización o estás trabajando con la Cámara Verde de Comercio, quizá para aclarar un poquito esta parte, o sea, ¿cómo podemos mostrar los beneficios de las empresas sostenibles, pero ¿a quién? ¿A la empresa o a los clientes? Si nos pudieras explicar un poquito, te lo agradecemos para retomar tu pregunta. In the meantime, we could go to Lisa's question. What is required for a company to be part and commit with the Green Chamber?
Say that one more time. What is it?
What is required? So I guess she's asking for a company to be part of the Green Chamber.
Yeah. So in the United States, and it could be different in other countries as it grows, because we do want everyone to establish their own set of protocols. But in the United States, we determined that anybody can come in, because if we're only preaching to the choir, then we're not going to make a big impact. So anybody can come in, but the people that we promote are only going to be those that are truly sustainable. So if British Petroleum, BP, said, oh, I want to sponsor this program that you have, we would say no, absolutely no.
Wonderful. I'm very glad that you mentioned this, because there's so many certificates or distinctions as that tell the public that a company is sustainable or socially responsible, and I make this quote unquote because they're really not. I mean, their core operations are not sustainable. They want to potentially become more sustainable, but in the meantime, there's a long route that they have to go, and a lot of transformations need to happen in order for them to be considered sustainable, right?
Correct.
So how can a company begin this process in your experience?
Yeah, so I think finding experts in the field that can help them go through the #1 evaluation process. You have to know where you're starting. So you have, if you have a consultant come in and look at what you're doing and evaluate those, understand what you know or don't know even before you start. So even going through some trainings, going through some online learning, e-learning, different programs like that, making sure that you have the tools and resources to equip yourself or to bring an expert in, and then start to look. I mean, you can look at certifications that are out there, but do make sure, just like you said, that they are reputable types of certifications before you dive in.
That's right. Yeah. Glad that you mentioned that. So let's see, where was the other question? Okay, Hernan, he came back and explains. He has a company that works in the renewable energies area, and it's hard for him to explain that sustainability can actually bring economic benefits and environmental and economic benefits. So, entonces, ¿cuál es la pregunta, Hernán? how to explain, I guess, yeah, connecting back to his original question was how to explain what sustainability, or how can sustainability generate environmental and financial benefits.
So I think from the renewable energy sector, there are so many absolutely outstanding case studies that you could just roll off one after the other. You have one industry that you're focused in on, and there's monumental success stories, you know, from an ROI perspective, and especially on the financial side. So I think that really finding the ones that resonate with what the types of implementation that you're putting in, so whether it be homes or businesses, and really highlighting, if it's for businesses, highlight the ones that are name brands that, you know, people say, oh, well, you know, IKEA did this all over the world, you know, they're putting in rooftop solar, and showcase what, you know, why they're doing it. They're not just doing it to be nice. You know, they're doing it from a financial perspective, and also their investors want them to do that as well. But it does help them become more sustainable. So I think it's really finding the right message and story that you tell, and you make it very clear, and it can be very succinct.
Thank you so much. What kind of training or certifications do you suggest to become an expert or consultant in sustainability? Do you think a master's is required? I can also add to that, but I want to hear your answer, Michelle.
Yeah. You know, we work with so many people going through master's programs right now. And that's, you know, those are really important. I think, depending upon what stage of your life, I guess I've really asked that question because if you're, in my opinion, if you're young and you're just going through your schooling, you're getting out of your, you know, bachelor's degree, and I'd say, especially right now with the pandemic, and I just gave this advice the other day, get your master's. Use this time to educate yourself. And and really grow. But also know that a lot of those programs are based in theoretical terms, and really, you know, it's the higher level, which is really needed as we, you know, because we need thinkers out there. But also look for programs that are very concrete, and making sure that when you get out, you know what to do exactly, and making sure that it's applicable to businesses if you want to go into the consulting industry.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And I can add to that. I have 2 master's degrees. One is specifically on sustainability from Sweden, and the other one is an MBA program from the University of Oregon with a focus on sustainable enterprise. And to this date, I keep studying and I keep learning. So there's not one program that will turn you into a consultant, a sustainability consultant. It's, you really have to explore or ask yourself what you want to do and how you want to add what you already know in order to make a project more sustainable, or a company more sustainable, an organization. So, I mean, there's a lot of information, especially right now during the pandemic, like Michelle was saying. There's, I have my own online academy with sustainability courses. There's the Green Chamber of Commerce in Colombia offers some training as well. The US Green Chamber of Commerce has its own toolkits for learning and for becoming a certificate, a professional on sustainability, or somebody who can go into the companies and help them with their sustainability strategies, right? So there's a lot of options. You just need to be clear on what you want to do with them.
Yeah.
With your expertise, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Thank you, Michelle. Let me see. I have to go back to the other questions. Sandra Castaño. How does corporate responsibility relate to green chambers?
I mean, with corporate responsibility, I mean, it's at the crux of what we do. And but we don't just work, I mean, so we use the word corporate responsibility or corporate social responsibility, CSR, and they have different, and I don't know, you probably have a different take on this, but for me, like CSR means or it used to mean really a corporation giving to nonprofits and, you know, kind of contributing in that way. And that's not a sustainable model.
Definitely.
I mean, that's not going to solve the world's problems. It's not going to make your business better. It's not going to make your consumers excited about working with you. It's not going to make your, you know, if you're in the supply chain, want to work with you just by giving funds to others. So
I agree.
I think it's, yeah. So corporate responsibility or sustainable practices are really at the core of everything that we're trying to put out there, and making sure that we're building not just a sustainable economy and a sustainable world, but really creating a regenerative economy and making sure that it's better and brighter and more amazing than what, you know, going back to that last slide, like we get to create this future and we have to do something, you know, things very, very different than what we've been doing.
Totally. I completely agree. And I could go on adding to this, but I will just move on to the following question. Let me just go back because a lot of people have been asking things. Where was I? Okay, Mario is asking, what is happening? What has been done in order to transform education, environmental education? What has been done in order to transform environmental education?
From the university perspective, I probably can't talk about that, except for the fact that I've seen a huge trend in new programs that are coming out. Like we work with a lot of college age, you know, like we'll get applications for interns coming from some of the top universities in the United States and around the world. And the types of programs that used to be, I mean, they were all environmental science or environmental policy applicants prior, but now there's sustainability, business sustainability, brand new titles that are coming out of some of the top Ivy League schools in the United States. So from that perspective, we've seen a huge shift in the program.
Well, I can add to what you just said that I've been studying formally, because I've been studying this sustainability and everything around it for more than 15 years formally. And back when I was applying for a master's degree in Sweden, which was my first postgraduate studies, there wasn't a lot of offering on postgraduate studies or master's degrees. But right now there is a lot, not only in the master's and PhDs offering, but also in the bachelor's. I've seen a lot of that also in Mexico as well. So there's a lot of environmental education from the academic world, but also outside of it. Because I have a foot on the academic world since I'm a university professor, and I have developed the focus for an MBA program, seminars, etc., for the graduate students in business programs. But I'm also teaching outside of the academia. And that is part of this transformation, I would say, Mario. Okay, let's see.
And I want to just add to that, if you're in the business world in particular, I mean, if you want your career to be that sustainability director, then maybe go back to school. But I think that if you're a business owner and you need just the tools and resources to make your business more successful, I don't think that going to the university is the pathway. Going to programs like yours would be the pathway.
Great, thank you, Michelle. Yeah, I I guess I tend to agree.
And you know the difference. I mean, that's,
yeah.
and I've seen it as well. And people come to us all the time because they want that experience of understanding the real world applications of those theoretical concepts that you're learning at the university.
That's right. I also, I want to add a little to that. I've seen a lot of people in master's programs that want to become obviously more, want to educate themselves on these topics, but their pathway is the corporate career, or those very few in, obviously I'm speaking from the business perspective because I teach usually in a business program. Some are, most of them are in the corporate world, some of them are in the social sector, and they have a very clear career path on that. But if you have a company or want to start a company, then start selecting which programs you want to invest in time-wise, money-wise. I mean, because you really need to align them with your strategy, with your objective, with what are you looking to have after those programs, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're at 8, it's 8:03. I don't know how, I want to check in with you because I know you are an hour ahead of us, and since we started a little late.
Well, that was my fault with tech challenges. So
no.
So no, I'm okay if you, I don't want to keep everybody, but I'm perfectly fine to stay.
Okay. Maybe can I ask you to stop sharing your screen so I can see you? We can see you in video, especially for those that are watching in YouTube. It would be great to have you on screen. Oh, I guess everybody's initiating their videos.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. It's such a pleasure. Oh, good to see you.
Yeah. Nada más. Un favor, si pueden silenciar tantito sus micrófonos, estaría genial. Y ya, so Michelle, you want to add something while we're having everybody come online with their videos?
Yeah, I heard the question, like, how can people add or bring value to their green chambers?
Oh, yes.
And when I was in Colombia with Mauricio, one key element is every person that we would come in contact with, I would, that they were working with the Green Chamber, and I would say, oh, well, and you're a member? Yes. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, some would be yes, I'm a member. And then some would be like, oh, I've been meaning to join. It's like, okay, if you want to be a contributing member or a contributor of the Green Chamber, I mean, the bare basics is just joining as a member. And I think that you're part of this team, you're part of this growing network. And I think especially when you're starting up the Green Chambers in different parts, you get to, this is part of your legacy of what you're building. And so just, raising your hand saying, yes, I'm going to join as a member, I'm going to contribute on the committee, I'm going to give my time and resources, because it's something that you're going to get tenfold back with that particular membership. And I think far and above any even traditional just chamber member, because there's a unique niche of what everybody has shared value in this space.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michelle. I think I would want to have you here forever and keep the conversation going, but I want to be very mindful of your time and everybody's time in here. So I want to thank you so much for accepting this invitation. It's an honor to have you. Thank you so much for all your insights and the information you shared. it is definitely very interesting for everybody here, for me at least, and I hope I speak for everybody. I just want to tell everybody, este es un largo camino hacia la sostenibilidad. Y para convertirnos líderes de nuestras organizaciones desde dentro o en las que estamos conformando, necesitamos mucha educación en el tema. De verdad es que yo he visto, hay muchos casos que he visto directamente de compañías que se hacen nombrar socialmente responsables o sostenibles y que no lo son. O incluso que tienen el sello de sostenible o socialmente responsable y que no lo es. Entonces hay que fijarnos muy bien cuáles son estos certificados, estos distintivos, estos sellos, etcétera, porque la transformación inicia desde dentro de la organización. So Michelle, I'm going to translate for you really quickly. I'm saying that there is a lot of work to be done, and the transformation needs to come from within the company, because not a distinction, a distinctive, a stamp or a certificate is going to tell you that you are really a sustainable company or socially responsible, because we can see that there are not from the outside, and especially those of us who are sustainability practitioners or experts in this field, we can tell much easier than probably others. So there's a lot of work to be done from the inside of the company, from those who are leading the projects. So my invitation is for people to keep learning and educating themselves in these topics, and working in tandem with chambers of commerce or with other sectors, other industries, other organizations. This is such a complex issue. We need to work together. So with this, I want to thank you, and I want to ask all the participants to turn on their videos so we can see them and say goodbye. Gente, muchas gracias. Si pueden encender sus videos y nos despedimos, estaría genial verlos. Ahora ya tenemos menos personas, pero so we have now 28 people, but there were something like 40-something people in the call. Así que pongan cara de foto. Put your best smile, because I'm going to take a picture. ¿Listos todos? Bueno, ahí va la primera foto. Jimena. A ver, ahí va otra foto, ¿eh? Un momento.
Yo con este.
Super. Michelle, thank you so very much for this.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you for having me, Itzel. It's been such a pleasure.
Of course, thank you so much. Y nada más un pequeño recordatorio, la segunda semana de junio inicio el curso de sostenibilidad organizacional para aquellos que están interesados. Inician 2 cursos, de hecho, el de sostenibilidad organizacional y el de sostenibilidad personal. Entonces, los que están interesados pueden enviarme un correo. Yo estaré también enviando un correo en los siguientes días. No, les comento que he recibido muchas preguntas sobre el coaching que ofrecí hace un par de semanas. Ahorita ya tengo saturada la agenda, pero posiblemente en 1 o 2 semanas tenga otro espacio para abrir para coaching grupal para unas cuantas personas, porque estoy haciendo grupos pequeños. También, si están interesados en esto, pueden enviarme un correo diciendo quiero coaching o diciendo estoy interesado en el curso. Y pues una última aviso, la siguiente semana tenemos una invitada súper especial también, igual que todas las anteriores. Sorry, Michelle, I'll translate this to you later.
Oh, that's okay. Yes.
Pero está en Londres, así que el horario va a cambiar, va a ser en algún momento a mediodía, yo creo. Y de cualquier forma, el martes es posible que hagamos algo igual a las 7 de la noche, pero yo los mantengo informados. So I think that's all. Thank you so much, Michelle, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Buenas noches a todos. Que descansen.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches.
Chao.
Ciao.
Anaí, nos vemos.
So is there anything that you need from me?
No.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
you can log out, and
Okay.
thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Anaí, qué gusto verte.